She was 67 years old. He was just 25. To everyone on the outside, they looked like a strange but harmless couple. People joked that he was a toy boy, that he was there for fun, maybe for company, but no one thought it would end in murder. In this video, we're going deep into a true crime story about greed, manipulation, and the brutal killing of a 67-year-old woman by her much younger husband. This is the story of how a 25-year-old man decided that his wife was worth more to him dead than alive, and how his perfect plan fell apart piece by piece. This is not a movie. This is not a legend. This is the kind of crime that can happen anywhere, when someone decides that money matters more than a human life. Let's begin. Our story takes place in a quiet American town, a place with small houses, tree-lined streets, and neighbors who still wave at each other when they drive by. Nothing about this town looks dangerous. The victim in this case is a 67-year-old woman we'll call Margaret. Margaret spent her whole life working hard. She raised children. She survived a difficult first marriage, and she finally reached an age where she could slow down and enjoy the rest of her life. She owned a small but comfortable house. She had some savings, a decent retirement account, and a life insurance policy. After decades of stress, she finally had stability. But she was also lonely. Her children had moved to different states. Her friends were busy with their own families. Most evenings, it was just Margaret and the TV in a quiet living room. That's when she met Daniel. We'll call him Daniel in this story. He was only 25 years old, 42 years younger than her. They met online, in a chat room, and then on social media. At first, it started with simple messages. He told her that she looked beautiful for her age, that she was interesting, that she was special. He messaged her every morning, every night. For someone who had gone years without real attention, those messages meant a lot. Soon, they were talking on the phone for hours. Then they started video calls. Margaret's world, which had felt small and empty, suddenly felt exciting again. Daniel told her he had a difficult life. He said he didn't grow up with much money, that people didn't understand him, that younger women only wanted bad boys, and didn't appreciate someone like him. But Margaret did. She listened. She cared. After a few months, Daniel told her that age was just a number. He said he didn't care what people thought. He told her that he loved her, and Margaret believed him. Eventually, Daniel convinces Margaret to let him move in with her. He says he wants to take care of her, help with the house, keep her company so she won't be alone. Her neighbors are surprised when they see him. Some of them whisper that this is strange. Others think it's sweet that someone so young is helping an older woman. But a few people quietly say what everyone is thinking. Why would a 25-year-old man be with a 67-year-old woman, if not for something else? At first, things look good. Daniel is charming. He cooks sometimes, he laughs with her, he goes shopping with her. He posts photos online talking about how love has no age. But slowly, little signs of a darker reality begin to appear. Margaret notices that her bank card is being used more often. There are charges she doesn't remember making. Online games, electronics, nights out. Daniel always has an explanation. I'll pay you back. It was an accident. I needed to help a friend. She wants to trust him. She doesn't want to fight. But a part of her knows something is wrong. Then the arguments start. Not every day, but enough. About money. About control. About who really owns what in the house. Sometimes, neighbors hear shouting through the walls. Sometimes they see Margaret with red eyes, like she had been crying. One neighbor later tells police she loved him, but she was scared of him too. Meanwhile, Daniel's own life is falling apart. He's not working regularly. He has debt. He likes to spend money on clothes, on nights out, on things that make him feel important. According to what investigators would later piece together, Daniel starts to see Margaret less as a person and more as a bank account, an account that belongs to him. He discovers that Margaret has a life insurance policy. If she dies, he's listed as the beneficiary. That means a lot of money for him. Around the same time, Margaret begins to push back. She tells him she wants to limit his access to her money. She says she is thinking about changing her will. She starts to talk about setting boundaries. For a man who is already selfish, impulsive, and desperate, this is dangerous. Experts who study domestic homicide often say that in many cases, the motives are a mix of greed, control, and anger, not just sudden rage, but a long, ugly buildup. That's exactly what seems to happen here. Daniel is losing control over the person who has been feeding his lifestyle. He is terrified of going back to being broke and powerless. He wants the money, and he wants it fast. So he starts to think the unthinkable. If Margaret was gone, all of her money, the house, the insurance, all of it, would be his. In his mind, she is no longer his wife. She is a problem to be solved, and that solution is murder. Daniel knows that if Margaret simply disappears, people will ask questions. If she is obviously attacked, police will focus on the person closest to her, him. So he decides that her death must look like an accident or a medical emergency. He suggests that they take a short trip together. Just the two of us, he says. Maybe to a lake, a hiking trail, or a quiet rural road where they can get away from everything. Margaret, still hoping their relationship can be saved, agrees. She thinks maybe some time alone will help them reconnect. In the days before the trip, Daniel does some searches on his phone and computer. Searches about life insurance, searches about drowning, searches about how police investigate accidental deaths. Like many premeditated killers, he doesn't realize how easily these searches can be found later. He also does something else. He checks her papers. He confirms that he is still the main beneficiary on her insurance policy. He makes sure her will hasn't changed yet. To him, all the pieces are in place. On the day of the crime, they drive out together. It's supposed to be a peaceful day. Maybe they go to the lake. The sun is out. The water is calm. Some families are in the distance, but not too close. To everyone who sees them, they look like any other couple enjoying the day. A grandmother and her younger partner. At some point, they go closer to the water. Maybe they rent a small boat. Maybe they stay near the shore. We don't know every word that was said, but we do know one thing. At some moment, Daniel decides that this is it. This is the time. He waits until no one is looking. He waits until she's close to the edge, maybe standing on a slippery rock or leaning over the water, and then he pushes her. She falls into the cold water, shocked, confused. At 67, she cannot swim like a young person. If she has any health issues, heart problems, weak lungs, the sudden shock can be deadly. Maybe she tries to scream. Maybe she reaches up, hoping he will grab her hand. But he doesn't. He watches. He waits. By the time he calls for help, it's too late. Margaret is dead. When emergency services arrive, Daniel plays the role of the devastated husband. He tells them it was an accident. He says she slipped. He says she lost her balance. He cries. He repeats the story over and over again. It all happened so fast. I tried to save her. At first, it seems like a tragic but simple case. An older woman, a fall, deep water. It happens. But some things don't quite add up. The police begin their standard investigation. They talk to witnesses who were in the area. Some remember seeing the couple, but no one actually saw the moment she fell. The medical examiner takes a closer look at Margaret's body. There are injuries that suggest more than just a simple slip. Bruises in places that don't match a normal fall. Signs that she may have been pushed or held under the water. Meanwhile, detectives start talking to Margaret's friends and family. They learn about the arguments. They learn about the money problems. They hear how she had started to tell people that she was afraid of Daniel and was thinking about changing her will. Then they look at Daniel himself, his social media, his messages, his search history. They find out he called the insurance company very quickly after her death, asking how long it would take to receive the money. They see the searches he did about drowning and insurance payouts. The more they look, the more this accident starts to look like a carefully planned homicide driven by greed, exactly the kind of motive experts warn about in domestic killings. Detectives bring Daniel in for questioning. At first, he repeats his story. It was an accident. But under pressure, his details change. Small contradictions appear. He can't keep track of what he said before. Eventually, the evidence is strong enough. He is arrested and charged with murder. In court, the prosecution paints a clear picture. They describe a young man who saw an older woman as a way out of his own problems. They show his spending habits. They show his debt. They show how his life improved once he moved into her house, and how angry he became when she started to pull back control. They present the searches on his phone, the quick call to the insurance company, the injuries on her body, the witnesses who heard Margaret talk about being scared. They call this what it is: premeditated murder for financial gain. The defense tries to argue that it was a tragic accident. They say he loved her in his own way. They say he didn't think clearly, that he panicked, that grief made him act strangely. But the jury has seen enough. They don't see a man in shock. They see a man who planned, executed, and then tried to profit from the death of his wife. In the end, the jury finds him guilty of murder. The judge sentences him to a very long time in prison, possibly life, making it clear that taking a human life for money is one of the most selfish and unforgivable crimes. For me, this case is not just about a young man killing an older woman. It's a story about how loneliness can make someone vulnerable and how greed can turn a human being into a predator. Margaret wanted love, company, and a peaceful old age. What she got instead was someone who pretended to love her while secretly calculating how much her death was worth. Cases like this also raise a difficult question. How do we protect vulnerable people, the elderly, the lonely, the trusting, from those who only see them as a way to make money? What do you think about this case? Do you believe this was a cold-blooded, planned murder from the beginning? Or do you think he ever truly loved her at all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more true crime stories like this one, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.